All right, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. I am really excited for today's webinar. It's about a topic that I'm personally passionate about, farm to school, and excited to have the Chef Ann Foundation, Strengthen ND, and the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction here today. They're each doing great work moving farm to school forward nationally and in the state. So my name is Sandy Tipke. I'm the Executive Director of Foundation for Healthy North Dakota. We're a nonprofit that was started in 2022, and we are really passionate about empowering communities and families and individuals so we can build a healthier North Dakota. If you're new to our organization, you can go to the foundationnd.org website and sign up for updates. We have monthly webinars covering lots of different topics about health, and so feel free to sign up. And I think Mary's going to take over and talk about today's webinar and general housekeeping. Thank you, Mary.
Wonderful. My name is Mary Lizakowski, and I'm a Coalition Health Director with Foundation for Health in North Dakota. And so happy to see so many people hopping on. Just a couple of housekeeping things to cover. The presentation, everyone is automatically recorded. And after the presentation, a link to the recording will be sent out along with an evaluation survey. So if you do have questions, please put them in the chat box and we will address them at the end. It's my pleasure to introduce our three presenters today. The first, Mara Fleishman, whose career in food systems advocacy started in her early 20s when she looked to the power of food after being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Mara has over 20 years of experience in leading systems change initiatives in the for-profit and nonprofit sectors, including over a decade at Whole Foods Market, where she served as Global Director of Partnerships. In Mara's current role as CEO of the Chef Ann Foundation, she has spent over a decade fighting for healthier food for our nation's kids. Mara's niche is system-based change, and although she takes on many roles as a leader, her favorite is programmatic engineering, breaking down problems to their foundation and building programmatic solutions through dynamic and integrated approaches. This type of programmatic engineering can be seen through the work of the Chef Ann Foundation, as an organization recognized as the national leader in driving fresh, healthy scratch-cooked food in schools. Mara serves on regional and national boards, has spoken at conferences and academic institutions across the country, and has been recognized in publications as a champion and national advocate for change. Welcome. Next, we have Ann Olson, a small farms navigator with Strengthen ND. Ann brings a decade of direct farmers market vendor experience to the local foods coordinator position. A native of Des Lacs, North Dakota, Ann and her husband are raising their kids and produce business on her fourth generation farm. Besides market farming, Ann is a large animal veterinarian, aspiring baker, and antique tractor show enthusiast. She is passionate about the local foods movement and assisting growers in growing their business to bring high quality products to local consumers. And lastly, we have Amanda Olson, who has worked in agriculture as a farmer and advocate for over 10 years. She worked for the North Dakota Farmers Union in member advocacy. In early 2023, she took her passion to the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, where she is the farm to school specialist. Her position is within the Child Nutrition and Food Distribution Office, which helps schools and communities operate child nutrition programs. Since she started, she has been working with many agencies to help bring capacity and infrastructure to farm to school in North Dakota. Amanda and her family reside in Animos, where they farm small grains, beans, and her favorite crop, pumpkins. If she could, she would make it autumn all year long. Amanda also serves on the Animos Elementary School Board. What a pleasure to have all three of you here today. I will turn it over to Mara to kick off the presentations.
Wow, how exciting. I'm so excited to be on with such amazing panelists. Thank you. I am going to share my screen here. Hold on for one sec while I get there. Okay, well, I'm going to just start my timer so I don't go off time. My name is Mara Fleishman. I am the CEO of the Chef Ann Foundation, and it's really great to be here. The Chef Ann Foundation was started by Chef Ann herself. This is a picture of her. Chef Ann was a mainstream chef who started to learn about school food when Alice Waters, was another restaurateur, asked her to come over to Berkeley Unified School District in California in 2004 and moved the program from serving processed food to serving fresh food. She was able to do it and then got an article written about her in the New York Times, and districts started calling her, asking her, can you come to my district and do this? Can you come to my district and do that? And pretty soon she decided she needed to start a foundation to help all these districts that had interest in serving less processed food and more freshly prepared scratch-made meals. So the Chef Am Foundation started in 2009. And today we operate in every state. And we have reached about 16,000 schools, just about 4.5 million kids through the programming that we have out there. And really what we do in short is we help school food programs serve more freshly prepared scratch-made meals. And we kind of do this in, I think we look at the whole system in which school food operates in. So we understand that it's not just about, culinary training or, getting a combi oven to the district or increasing reimbursement or helping to revise procurement strategies. We understand that it's all of it and financial modeling too, and how can we go in and work with a district to create kind of a long-term strategic plan and help support them getting there. So, some of the reasons why we do this, I'm sure many of you know, but this is like the plainest example, right? So you can pretty much find a form of chicken nugget on the majority of school food menus. There's just over 15,000 districts in the United States. And you can find a form of a chicken nugget on most of these menus. And the issue is that most of them are really processed, highly processed, and, often actually coming from the commodity food program. But if you look at it, if you in a district in North Dakota buy a chicken nugget, you're going to buy this chicken nugget. It's going to have 34 ingredients in it. You're not going to have the ability to choose any of those ingredients beyond the primary nugget. Whereas if you move to serving a fresh chicken product, you can then start to break down the procurement of the items in that product. You might only have 8 ingredients instead of 34, if you look at all these 34, there's a number of these ingredients you don't need in this product. And if you look at the 8 ingredients that you could use to create a fresh item, you can start looking at menu mix, looking at financial modeling, and we might be able to get a local chicken on there, a local higher quality chicken on there. We might be able to get a local buttermilk on there, where you don't have that option when you just buy the chicken nugget. So this is kind of why we do this. So, when people ask us, what do you do? We have that very short answer. We help schools serve more freshly prepared scratch-made meals. And a lot of times, I think when I'm talking to people, I see that kind of like it like glazes over them. Like, okay, great, that's fine, that's great. It would be great if we had more freshly prepared meals, if people were cooking more. But why is that so important? And I think one of the pieces for us that was the reason why, Anne started this organization is that, when you start moving to more freshly prepared meals, scratch made meals, you're really kind of surrounded by this ethos then that you're able to change. So you are able to affect the health of the meal, right? I mean, we understand that there are, you have to meet the compliance of a school meal, and there's all sorts of targets that you have to meet, but there's targets that aren't in there. There's no fiber targets in school meals, right? So we understand that, and you're able to do that. Also, just from the last example, we are able to eliminate certain ingredients if we move to freshly prepared meals. We're able to really curate what we want to serve our kids. Equity is a big piece of this, right? I mean, that was, when I really started to get invested in this work, was when my oldest, who is now 24, I went to lunch with her in kindergarten. Here where I live in Colorado. And I looked around at the meal. This was before the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, right? So it was before all this compliance. I looked around what they were serving. They were serving processed French toast sticks and a side of pears in, a syrupy sauce. And I started to look around at who were the kids that were eating this lunch and what was the equity issue in this lunchroom, right? And these kids were going back to kindergarten where you learn to read. At the time, there were 30 kids to one teacher in this classroom. That was my daughter's kindergarten classroom, 30 kids to one teacher, no assistant teacher. And I thought to myself, how are these kids going to eat this lunch, go back to the classroom, and how is this teacher going to teach 30 kids how to read? It seemed like an impossible task. I at the time worked at Whole Foods Market, and I had served my daughter, I brought my daughter's lunch, and, nitrate-free turkey and an organic bread and, organic side carrots. And I started thinking, this is not an equitable springboard for all kids. This is kindergarten. These kids are 5. And there wasn't an equitable springboard for them. We also know it affects the planet, right? So when you can, it's a $25 billion industry. We're spending $25 billion on school food, and we start making better procurement choices, we're going to affect the environment and the planet. And also careers. This is a big thing for us. When you start to have school food teams cook, they look at their jobs differently. They look at their jobs differently than if they are taking out a frozen chicken nugget, putting it in a retherm, and putting it on the line. They have different skills, and they have a different ability to grow within careers. This is just some facts about North Dakota from our perspective, from the Chef Ann perspective. So we will be talking about a little bit of our programs, but we have something called the Lunchbox, and right now we have 56 users on the Lunchbox from North Dakota. We've had 17 salad bar grants to schools there, and kind of looking at your K-12 students, about 123,000 students, about 197 public school districts. And looking at the free and reduced lunch numbers, right there, 1 in 3 students. And 79% of North Dakota districts participate in farm to school activities, which I thought was an incredible stat to read because I do this presentation in a lot of states. So I thought that was really cool. And then 75% of your district serving local food. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So what are some of the programs that the Chef Ann Foundation supports? Checking my time. So one of the ones that we've had since almost the beginning is more kind of like around, this general scratch cooking. So, and this is where we were talking about, the dollar spent in the industry. So nearly $24 billion spent in school food. And for every dollar spent on farm to school programs, an extra 60 cents to $2.16 is generated in regional economic activity. That's incredible to think about. It's also incredible to think about that the amount of processed food we are serving when this is the reality, and we know how this can help support our societies and our local economies. Really important for farmers, for fishers, for ranchers that are selling into school food programs. Okay. So this was one of the first programs. We actually worked on this initiative with the Michelle Obama Let's Move initiative. Let's Move salad bars to schools was what it was initially called. And this was one of the 7 initiatives that Michelle Obama had under her kind of school food purview. And it's interesting when you think about salad bars, because salad bars for us are the gateway to scratch cooking and school food. So when we come to a district that's doing relatively little scratch cooking, relatively little fresh procurement, we really encourage the first start as a bar because it's an intro into fresh procurement, fresh storage, fresh prep, and then even the most important part, which is the kids engaging in eating fresh food, which is always, there's a transition there. There's a transition from kids eating, canned fruit to eating fresh fruit, or canned vegetables to eating fresh vegetables. And not 9 times out of 10, we see the progression there that kids end up loving it. It's also choice, which when you have choice for kids, it's a great thing. For me, my youngest is still in high school, and um, what he likes on the salad bar? He likes cauliflower, carrots, ranch dressing, and the chicken. That's what he gets, right? So he puts that in his bowl and he gets that. If we were serving him a pre-packed salad, a lot of that would end up in the trash, and he might not eat. He might not like spring greens or, romaine or whatever. So there's that choice that kids get empowered by. Our Salad Bars to Schools program is a rolling grant, and you can put your name down on the interest list on the Chef Ann Foundation site, and the grant will reopen in 2026. We also have bulk milk, which is a program that we created because for a number of reasons, but this comes under our sustainability pillar. So single serve cartons are the biggest form of waste, package waste in school food. And milk is served in every district. When you move to a bulk milk, you're really able to change that, single serve package waste issue. You are also at many times able to save money, and sometimes districts are actually able to move to an organic milk with the money that they're able to save in moving to a bulk milk process. But kind of at the top of the list on bulk milk is that the bulk machines keep milk at a cool temperature, and it ends up being something kids really, really like the taste better of, because it's really chilled to the right temp. And this is also a rolling grant, so you can check our website on this. The Lunchbox is the kind of the nation's largest database of scratch cooking resources. We have financial modeling tools, procurement modeling tools. We have nearly 400 compliant scratch cook recipes that can be modulated for the number of kids served in your district. It happens automatically. We have a lot of um, menu planning tools. There's just a lot there. Definitely encourage you guys to check it out. And our kind of commitment, Ann's commitment to the country, is that this will always be provided free and open source to all districts. School Food Institute is the kind of the nation's first online school for scratch cooking and school food. And there's 11 courses. They range from School Food 101 to financial modeling to procurement to operational modeling. We go in deep in these courses. There's homework. Chef Ann herself grades a lot of the homework. So she's still there. I know, gives me updates on a lot of the grading and where she thinks things are going in the world of school food. And these courses are really, this is like one step up from the lunchbox, a little bit more hands-on. You get that touch. The fellowship is also an awesome program. Our application opens up for fellowship in September of every year. So we just closed our application. We usually take 25 fellows every year. It's a 13-month program. And fellowship is usually for kind of mid-level school food operators. So area supervisors, head chefs, that kind of level. Folks who are wanting to grow in their career, wanting to be kind of eventually lead a scratch cook school food program. However, we have had food service directors actually be fellows in our program too. So this is an hands-on program, 13 months. You have a capstone project. You get $5,000 for your district to move that capstone project. You get advisors in like 8 key areas. It's a really cool program. Oh, that's it. Get Schools Cooking is a program. The application is going to open in August. And if your district's really interested in moving your scratch cooking progression forward, keep your eyes open for this, because we work with you for nearly 4 years hand in hand to help move your program to scratch cooking. We only can take about 7 districts, so it is competitive, but the application will open in August. And I think the best way to get kind of a bird's eye view of all that we offer is to sign up for our blog alerts and newsletters, because we often announce all of these opportunities, and we have a lot more opportunities that come up over the year. So that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful. I will share my screen again for Ann. We'll transition over to you.
Okay, well, good afternoon. My name is Ann Olson, and like it's been already introduced, I work for Strength and ND as a small farm navigator. I came on board in 2021, and my work has kind of evolved through the last couple of years, from trying to figure out what exactly local producers need in our state to helping to develop a regional food system kind of based out of the Bismarck, Mandan area. In Baldwin, North Dakota, we have a wonderful program called the Small Farm Incubator. And so we have the ability for participants and future growers, people who don't have a lot of land access, to have that land access for free. There's a greenhouse facility there. The individuals that run that greenhouse are also very involved, have been involved in farmers markets, farm to school, now the greenhouse business. So they have a wealth of knowledge and experience. We've actually presented on here before in the last, I think, 2 years about the incubator program. So there is a more in-depth presentation that we have done in the past. But I encourage you guys to go to strengthnnd.com and explore our website and see what all is available. If you or anyone you know is interested in learning how to grow produce specifically, and flowers as well, for farmers markets, farm to school, other avenues of produce sales, please, I encourage you to reach out to me or go to the website. I will put my email in the chat box as well here too. And I apologize, I don't have a very formal presentation. I was not sure where I was going to be presenting from today, but I'm going to talk just a little bit about both Strength and ND and what we are doing for the farm to school efforts, and then my own role now starting in farm to school sales as a local food producer in North Dakota. So we have, along with our incubator farm, we have developed some more programming that really is supporting local food producers to not only sell in farmers markets, but we have taken classes and gotten funding to come up with a veggie van. So it's going to be a mobile farmers market on wheels. We tested it out last year, and that's where our farm to school part has come in. And we went to an elementary school in the Bismarck area. The name is Wilmore Elementary, and we were able to, with some of our Blue Cross Blue Shield funding, give out free produce baskets to the students and their families. So we were able to do one at the very end of summer school, right when it was ending, which unfortunately is a little early for North Dakota produce season. But we have a wonderful producer in the area, and we were able to give out great baskets with produce, local sourdough bread, and some other items, some protein bars, things like that, that we were able to share with the families that go there. We were able to come back then. The picture that you just saw was from our June basket distribution. We took the veggie van on the road a little bit farther into town, and we went to the Bismarck Senior Center to do a pop-up farmers market weekly. That was really well received. That's a whole other topic, but meeting people where they're at and getting fresh produce to them. And then we came back to Wilmore here just a couple of weeks ago and did a basket distribution for the fall with things like potatoes, a squash, and more bread. So that was just like a test run for our mobile market truck. We have in the future plans for a regional food processing facility located at the Baldwin Incubator Farm, where producers in the area, not just those that are participating as interns, others in the area will have access to a commercial kitchen, wash and pack for produce, and then hopefully with the veggie van, the ability to distribute their produce out to schools, local cafes, small towns in North Dakota that don't really have that ready access to that. So please, again, reach out to me. Ann at strengthennd.com is my email. Look on our website. We have a ton of resources on there. And we not only do in-person on-site internships, we also mentor those around the state. So we can do virtual mentorship. I have a producer coming out this afternoon actually to tour our wash and pack. So we are just here to help mentor and support any of the growers that are in the area. So moving on a little bit to our own personal story, and which has greatly been helped by Strengthen ND, I can definitely say I would not be doing what I'm doing with Farm to School if it wasn't for my work, learning how important it is, building relationships across the state, and just learning about how important this program really is. And I'm so excited to delve further into the Chef Ann information. So thank you for sharing that. I look forward to seeing what we can do in our area too. So my farm here in Des Lacs, North Dakota is called Hilltop Farm. And yes, it's a fourth generation. My kids are fifth generation farm kids. We're west of Minot, so we're close to one of the larger towns in North Dakota, or cities in North Dakota, which gives us a lot of access avenues for sales. So we have typically and mostly in the past 10 years done Minot Farmers Market. We've done a CSA program. We are now part of the Minot Multi-Farm CSA, which is another program supported by Strengthen ND, where multiple growers get together to do CSA baskets, which is community supported agriculture. So everybody brings their unique and specialties, whatever produce they grow or bread they bake or canned good items that they have, and we market that to the community. And so on top of that, we do have the North Dakota Cottage Food Law, which allows us a lot of flexibility and freedom to sell local foods in our state. It allows most of the state to sell whole uncut produce into schools, restaurants, grocery stores. However, here where I live is in First District Health Unit. So in this multi-county area that is covered by First District, they require us to have a produce license. So on top of the guidelines presented by the state for best practices in food safety, we also have to meet the produce grower requirements in order to sell to schools, even to give to the schools in my area. So it's been a long journey for me since 2019. Kind of have just taken a look at it every year, grown a little bit every year in our programming to try to see where do we fit into that, what makes sense for our operation. Is this a good step in the next direction for us? Things like that. It was a little bit daunting for sure, but we have a lot of support in our state from those who have already gone through this. First District Health Unit has inspectors that are just specific for the produce licensing. And so we have a lot of availability also to take food safety courses. So I encourage any of you that are interested. The Department of Ag has some FSMA trainings coming up. A lot of us are not required to be FSMA trained, licensed, but a lot of that information in there is really useful and helpful, especially if you're going towards something like a produce license. So we received a grant in 2023 that allowed us to purchase some of our equipment that we needed for our wash and pack. That was really our big gap that we had that we needed to figure out how to accomplish for our produce license. We live on a very dusty dirt road. We have a lot of wind and not a lot of protection that comes into our yard. So we needed to have a space dedicated strictly to produce that would make our lives a lot easier, not only for Farm to School, but just in general. So we have developed, the picture off to the right is our wash and pack facility. that we have put together over the last year and a half. Thanks to the grant funding by our local credit union and also the Department of Ag, we received funding for a fridge that goes inside of it. I can cool this whole refrigerated trailer down to where it's comfortable for me to work in, but I don't really want to keep it 40 to 45 degrees for the produce. So having that fridge has been really, really instrumental and helpful to have in this little facility that we use. So we have a very large garden space that is inspected. We use city or municipal water that is also tested by the district. And we've had an on-site inspection. And so starting in August of this year, we became produce licensed. So the picture on the very left is us making our very first delivery to our school. And that is a school where my kids go. So we have been able to take cucumbers, tomatoes, potatoes for baking. We tried sweet corn, onions, and things like that. They also received a large load of pumpkins that they could carve. And then we also did a school to farm visit. So the whole kindergarten class came out to the farm. They got to help pick some of the potatoes that go in their lunches. So we truly believe not only at Strength and ND, but our farm itself, we really, really believe that teaching kids about healthy food, where their food comes from, will encourage them to not only eat healthier now, but later on in life, to make better choices, to support local producers, on and on and on. We're just hoping to build that love and just awareness of local foods and where your food comes from and how to eat healthier and make healthier choices. And we can't thank Amanda Olson enough from the Farm to School program for her guidance as well. Our next step now, we really just focused on one school and just a couple of small restaurants this fall until we could get our feet under ourselves. We didn't want to commit to too many schools and until we knew for sure that we are going to be licensed. So now that we are good to go on that front, we'll spend the winter sitting down, figuring out what other schools or childcare facilities we can service in our area, what their needs are, and things like that. So, you really have to have a willing school staff that's excited and interested in this too, to make it work. Good communication with them and just, making sure they know what to expect and that we know what they want. It's all been a really good learning process for us. And so I really encourage anyone that's interested, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm no expert for sure in the farm to school, but we are really excited in the progress that we've made on our own farm and what we're seeing across North Dakota. So, and you're always welcome to come out to our farm. We're going to bundle up the wash and pack for the winter. That is one of the downfalls of North Dakota, of course, is I can't grow produce all winter long for the schools, but we have been able to provide produce well into November here, which has been really, really nice. So next summer we'll be back up and rolling and ready for visitors. So thank you guys.
Wonderful. Thank you. I bet all the kids that got to visit had so much fun. I can about imagine.
It was great. They already want to do it next year. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we can have Amanda present now. I will stop sharing so you can get your slides up.
Hello, everyone. Sure. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna see here. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Olson. I work for North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, and I am the Farm to School Specialist. The office I work in is the Office of Child Nutrition and Food Distribution, and our office oversees all federal and child nutrition programs in the state of North Dakota. So we are perfectly housed to have a Farm to School program in our office as well. I've been with North Dakota Department of Public Instruction since 2023. My position is supported by a USDA Farm to School State Formula Grant, and have some exciting things to share about that as well. But I really wanted to dive into, Mara shared a little bit of information about what farm to school looks like in North Dakota. So I'm going to dive into that just a little bit more, but then I'll also talk about some programs that we've been working on, partnerships that we've created in networks, even going into a little bit of what Ann has shared about as well. And then what could the future look like for farm to school in North Dakota? It's really hard, I will tell you, to put all of the things that have happened in the last just few years into a few slides. So I'll be sharing some things that you can participate in to learn more, but just like the other panelists have shared, contact me anytime you have questions. All right. So what does farm to school look like in North Dakota? Can you see my next screen? Perfect. Okay, so this is the regional landscape. Like Mara shared, we have about 79% of our school food authorities or our school districts are participating in farm to school activities. And just a reminder of what farm to school activities look like. It's not just local food purchasing, it's also garden activities and agriculture education. And one of the things that I always tell our school districts, our stakeholders, anybody that's interested in farm to school is that really farm to school is a new term to really, I guess, say that in the way that North Dakota has been doing these things for a long time. It's a new term to really define something North Dakota has a long-standing tradition of doing. We've always done agriculture education. We are an agriculture-rich state. Obviously, we grow a lot of commodities in the state as well as local produce. And so we had a long tradition of agriculture in our state. And so our school districts, our childcare facilities have always done agriculture education. They've always done some sort of local food purchasing, and they've always done something in with like gardening, for example. And this is really the first time in the last 10 years that we've really been tracking that information. And all of this information shared recently, just like Mara said, is from the 2023 USDA Farm to School Census. So a lot of people get caught up in farm to school in the sense that it's something brand new in our state, but it's really not. We've been doing it for a long time. It's just giving it a new term to define that. And so you can see in the regional landscape that we are, we're above the national average, and in our, we call it the Mountain Plains region, we are scoring pretty high as well. So our length of participation, as you can see, we've had just about 10% have said that they are participating for more than 6 to 10 years in this survey as well. And then we have some really newcomers that are saying that they've been participating in less than 3 years. And that's always tricky for us to define. We've had long conversations about, well, guys, you guys have been doing this for a long time, but this might be the first time they've actually participated in the USDA Farm to School Census to say, this is actually what we're doing in agriculture education, local food purchasing, and school gardens. So I feel like the program has been here for a long time. And we've done a lot of education since this census to say, what their farm to school activities look like. So you can see from pictures, even what Ann shared, these are the top local foods that are most commonly purchased that North Dakota school districts are spending their school food budgets on. And beef, milk, baked goods, we have a lot of great local bakeries around even some of our smallest towns that a lot of people are either purchasing the dough and then they're baking and raising, the dough and baking it themselves. In addition, we have a really large North Dakota company out of Dickinson called Baker Boy that also a lot of people are responding to. Apples, and then of course potatoes, right? You can basically just say a good chunk of North Dakota, especially on the eastern side of the state, is dedicated to growing potatoes, onions, and all sorts of things. So one of the things that I thought was interesting that we learned from the USDA Farm to School Census is that we're continuing to see challenges, right? And Ann talked a little bit about it as well, but it is hard for produce to be growing for a length of time in North Dakota. We all know how our winters look. So that does lead to, a limited availability of local foods. But one of the things that is really going to be exciting about that is, things like Strengthen ND, what they're doing is really great producer-led initiatives to really address that. There's a lot of various agencies that are working on programs to make that more available. And we're trying to really come up with innovative ways to help schools and childcares make this purchasing easier, right? Let's, think about how you purchase something every single day, right? You add it to your cart, you click yes. It's no different for when schools are ordering from large companies like Cisco or other broadline distributors. They are selecting, quite a few different foods. They enter into a pretty easy user-friendly interface of purchasing local foods of purchasing other foods. When it comes to local foods, a lot of this is producer-led, and that can be a very tedious relationship. And luckily, we have producers that are willing to do that. And we are trying to educate schools to enter in that as well. But there is an easier way that we can make this happen for schools. And we are really looking at ways that we can be innovative with that, also to help our producers with that as well. One of the things that North Dakota Department of Agriculture has done, they have a local foods directory map. And it's a really exciting tool. And there are hopefully plans and things in place to maybe continue to really enhance that program so we can have a more, verified list essentially for schools and childcares to look at to say, this is where you can purchase local food. That is something that we've been working hard at this stage, and as well with North Dakota Department of Agriculture. So in that USDA Farm to School census, we also had about 8% of our SFAs, or about 19 of them, responded to say that they have edible school gardens. I think this is going to increase in the state as we see numbers of food increase, right? All of the prices of food have increased. But in addition, a lot of these schools that are looking into gardening have also partnered with a producer as well. And so just like Ann shared, that field trip that was important for the kindergarten class to come out and look at an edible school garden, that partnership could really be important for our state as well. We are seeing an increase since 2023 of our school gardens as well as childcare gardens as well. So I'm excited to see what 2027 USDA Farm to School census will showcase us in the way that to show the increase that we have in gardening participation. So some shout outs and opportunities, and Mara talked a little bit about this too. We are the leading region, right, of terms of SFAs in the state that are serving local foods in a salad bar. So she talked a lot about the salad bar recipients, but most of our local foods are served on the salad bar. That seems to be the easiest way for the producer to get something into the school, in addition for the school to process it and get it out to the students as well. And process, I mean by like just general cutting, washing, making sure it's presentable for students to access. Growing and serving culturally relevant foods. We have a very diverse student population in North Dakota. A lot of people don't know that, but we do. We have a lot of various communities that are growing, especially on the eastern side of the state and the western side of the state, even in our southern part of the state, where we're really trying to incorporate their foods that are culturally relevant to them. Schools do a really great job of promoting the local foods. So if they see something on the salad bar, oftentimes there's a sign saying that this came from perhaps maybe Hilltop Farm, or this came from a various producer, to let the students know that they're eating something local today. Even if it's something that came from their school garden, kids get really excited about that. In addition, celebrating National Farm to School Month, which now we have a state proclamation, thanks to the Department of Agriculture, calling it North Dakota Farm to School Month. We have a lot of activities that focus around that as well. There are things like that we can definitely see opportunities to build upon, and that's serving more local foods outside of the National School Lunch Program. So thinking about our summer feeding program, thinking about ways that we can really enhance when produce is ripe and ready, and how we can get it to those that are serving even after school programs, snacks, all the things that are happening in the summer as well. And then also doing a little bit more of taste tests and cooking demonstrations to showcase how local foods can be prepared. In addition to really doing some student-led process with that as well, saying, letting them see if they understand the difference between a commodity tomato versus the tomato that came from a local producer, and having some of that education piece with that as well. So there are many ways to participate in North Dakota Farm to School program. Just a highlight of some of the things that we've been doing. We do have Harvest of the Month posters. Those are educational posters that go out to every school district, and child cares that are operating the child and adult care food program. We talk about highlights of nutrition, and these are, you can see the tomatoes are featured for November. And you can see the cute little poster there. This is in partnership with North Dakota Department of Agriculture. In addition, a lot of the posters have been featured for North Dakota Farmers Market and Growers Association. And then we have Tray of the Month is a new program that our office has been hosting. And we have different themes to highlight school nutrition in North Dakota. And as you can see, the tray on the bottom is from West Fargo Public Schools. The local food featured there is that lovely medley of squash and sweet potatoes that comes from local producers. And that lunch looks delicious. West Fargo Public Schools, Bismarck Public Schools, and a lot of other districts are really leading the way of how they are incorporating more scratch made cooking as well as local foods. And so it's been really exciting. And as you can see there on the top right is lovely, beautiful tomatoes from Farm in the Dell near Moorhead that went into West Fargo Public School. And if you haven't heard of Farm in the Dell and Moorhead, please look them up. I'll drop their information as well. In addition, we have a USDA Team Nutrition grant from the 2024 year, and we have done some culinary trainings. My coworkers, Amy Nelson and Emily Carell, are the leads on that project. But recently, they did some culinary trainings in November, and they are developing some North Dakota lunch recipes, trying to include some local foods where we can fit it in, but really focusing on the scratch base, and then also foods that are meeting the new requirements for lower sugar and lower sodium. So that's really exciting as well. And what are we doing in classrooms, right? We talk about what's looking like in the lunchroom, but what's happening in classrooms? And our Craft to Classroom program is really has taken off. We had a lot of buzz about it. We present on this a lot. And a lot of this is due to partnership with North Dakota Department of Agriculture. We call it Farm to School Takeover Days, where we feature a education component in the morning with students, and then we try to feature that local product on the lunch menu that day. We've done it in quite a few schools over the last couple years. In addition, doing some ag in the classroom, like I said, some ag in the classroom as well. They have done a lot of great classroom kits for teachers to access, in addition to the hydroponic tower garden grant. They do have a grant out that is out right now. If Jenna's on the line, maybe she can drop that information into the chat for any schools that are interested in applying. But they've done really great classroom kits, microgreens, sun butter, edamame trail mix, and this is really great nutrition education, local food education done with the classes. And really, these wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for that partnership. We have a lot of entities that are working together to bring more capacity and infrastructure to Farm to School in North Dakota, including the programs that Ann even talked about with Strength and ND and the Veggie Van. As well as we have a lot of different public health units that are helping advance this conversation as well. Bismarck Burley Public Health, NDSU Extension as well has been really integral in helping broadening opportunities for people to participate in Farm to School. It's something that's on our minds every single day, and how we can really be innovative for the future as well. So thinking about things that are upcoming that you can all participate too. In June of 2026, we will have a Farm to School seminar. We're going to do a one-day training with all stakeholders involved, schools, producers, childcares, and nonprofit agencies to really give us a landscape of what Farm to School looks like, and then where can we go from here for the future. And then our office at DPI will be releasing school and childcare garden grants again. In addition, we will be doing a Farm to School tour in Minnesota with North Dakota school nutrition directors. And our goal there is to learn about the Minnesota Farm to School program, what they are doing, how they're increasing scratch-made cooking, as well as, how are they working around the challenges of procurement? What are they really doing to change that landscape? And if you haven't had a chance to learn from Minnesota Farm to School program, I encourage you to check them out. They've done really innovative things, and really hoping to learn from them as well. So in addition, North Dakota Department of Agriculture and North Dakota Department of Public Instruction are applying for the 2026 USDA Patrick Leahy Farm to School grant to really carry out more things that we can really help our state move forward in this conversation. So that is the end of my presentation. Sorry if I went over on time. If there's any questions, please email me anytime. If you want, you can check out I'll put our link to our website as well. But if you ever have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them anytime. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everyone. It's really inspiring to hear the work of Ann, Mara, and Amanda, and what's happening nationally, but in the state of North Dakota. Really inspiring. So I have one question that we received ahead of time, and I don't know exactly who it's directed towards, but maybe the focus would be the programs that everyone's working on. But from Hope Brighton, she asked, are these programs used throughout the year? So whoever wants to start off with that one.
I could say for Department of Public Instruction, and then anything that, that grants that come open, or even classroom kits, any of those education materials, those have been in the past kind of revolving grant opportunities. We're always thinking of something different to apply for teachers. But the farm to school program, whether there's local foods available or not, is always operating, because like I said, there's always agriculture education that can be done, right? We can always do some nutrition education. There's always curriculum that we can be helping, in addition, to culinary trainings, all sorts of things that we can really be offering technical assistance on. So in that way, we're never stopped, right? Won't stop, don't stop kind of program. And I think that has been ever more helpful as way, in addition to whatever education opportunities that we can supply for schools, producers, childcares, any stakeholders that really want to learn more on the program. So we don't stop in that way.
I will add to that. First of all, that was amazing to hear about, Amanda. We have cycles of our grants, if that's what you're asking, right? So the salad bar grants will open up in the beginning of 2026, and the bulk milk grants and the Get Schools Cooking grants open up in August, and the fellowship grants open up in September. So there is this revolving place. The lunchbox is always accessible. The School Food Institute is always accessible. And then, something I didn't talk about really is what we call custom programming. So districts and states come to us to develop custom programming for either their district or their state, based on what it is that they're trying to achieve within the realm of scratch cooking, right? So, whatever it is. So we always take those calls. We can't always do the work because it's a matter of capacity, but we'll always take those calls and see where we can fit a district in or a state in.
Just that there, I unmuted myself. Anything to add, Ann?
I think from the producer side, we could always think about ways to be creative to store things like potatoes or squash or whatever the school's willing to cook through the year to get some more longevity out of that. Like Amanda said, North Dakota has a lot of potato growers, so there's a lot of access to those kind of crops. So I like the posters that they send out to the schools. I see them in a couple of the schools in our area. So that's just reminding kids that local produce is around and available, and to think about produce even in the cold winter months. And then our Strength and ND programs, our incubator farm that we talked about, our internship program is kicking off and will be kicking off the end of January. So things are always happening. A lot of times winter is a good downtime from the garden season to sit down and think about planning for the future and for the next summer. So
Great. That's amazing. Thank you so much. All right. I don't see additional questions in the chat. Mary, have you caught any?
I don't see any more. Nope, I don't see any other questions.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, I'm going to let Mary wrap up and talk about the evaluation survey, but I really want to thank Ann, Mara, and Amanda. And it's so exciting to hear about the programs and how it can benefit, children and families throughout the state and the nation. I think it's just an area that's needed, but also so positive. So, Mary.
Yes, so thank you so much to our panel of presenters and to all who could attend. To stay connected with us, you can follow Healthy NODAC on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Foundation for Healthy North Dakota on LinkedIn. Also, to join the coalition, you can visit the link to stay aware of future webinars and updates on the foundation. And there is a QR code if you wanted to take it now. Otherwise, it will be sent out with the follow-up email along with all the resources that we talked about within the presentation. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.